Hello everyone. This video is a continuation of a previous video on MVC. The last one we mostly did V and C. In particularly, we have the home controller that will allow us to display an index page. The index is this index.cshtml. And from this CSHTML, I just say hello there, and then I can redirect to another page. So home say good morning. Home say good morning basically again goes back to the controller, say good morning. We'll have a view, say good morning.cshtml, which allows us to provide a text box so I can do some kind of a posting back to my controller, and my controller will display the index page with that input. So this is how it looks like when I try to run this. Okay, this is what comes back when I try the index page. Hello there, say good morning. And then in the say good morning page, I have a link back home and say, I have a text box here, say hello there. And then basically it's going back to the index page because it can accept a parameter which I can show over here. So if you want to view the previous video, please follow the link below. All right, so today what I want to do is to continue this video with a database using Entity Framework. So this is what I'm going to do now. Right click on the project, add data. All right, so new item. Loading into data, I want to do a ADO.NET entity data model. You can leave it as model 1. And I'm going to use the entity framework designer from database. Start a new connection. This is where you can specify a local host, or I have a database bin dbms.database.windows.net. I'm using this Azure database in the cloud. I have a username, read-only login. So save my password, and the database I'm going to use is bin dbms. I can right away test my connection to see whether it works or not. It's indeed okay. So I hit OK now, and system will will try to connect to the database, all right, and come back with the different databases, the tables or the objects I have access to. So this screen tells me, yeah, I can secure my connection string, but let's leave it nice and simple. Don't worry about this for the time being. And then using Entity Framework 6, I am going to get the database information. So here I can select different tables I want to gain access to, but today I'm just going to use customers. All right, finish this, and the system will retrieve the database metadata, come back with a schema for that database. Okay, so this is the schema coming back from your entity framework that will map to my actual table in my database, customer, with all the different attributes. So if you have more tables that are being brought in, then you see the ER diagram with all the connections. So we don't really need this anymore. Okay, so close this one. All right, to actually use this, what we need to do is to go to the controller that says that every time that you start up, we're going to have an instance of this this model for this customer table. So the class is bin dbms entities. All right, I'm going to create an object for that. And then what I need to do is to actually have a constructor to do something about this underscore db. So every time this controller is being created, I'm going to say db is equal to new ben dbms entities, and I'm pretty much done now. So now I can talk about this customer table, customer model, customer class from this underscore db object. All right, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to create yet another view, right? So that I can look at the content of this customer table. So here, just let's do a public action result, show customers. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the model, the view data model, to pass the data from the controller to the view. So here, just view data dot model is equal to the db object dot. So you can see the customers table is there already. All right. And that's basically it. And then I just have to change it to a list, which I'm going to pass into my view. So just return view. All right. So I have my controller. So as before, I need to create a view. So under home, I'm going to add a view, which is show customers. Now the template is this is what is really nice with Visual Studio, that I can do a list, and it tells you that, hey, this list will need some kind of model, the class that we have created, this customer. All right, and I think that's it. Okay, so just do an add. All right, so this CS HTML for show customers have been created now. So you notice that the data items actually we try to grab the columns or the attributes from for the headings of this table, and the items is over here. So without doing anything, let's just run this, build it, and so they're just the table with the data is all built already. So it gives you the headings from the attributes names, and then they also have links to create new one and so on, which we're not going to talk about in this video. So if I just want to show, for example, the last name and first name and the city, all right. So one easy way of doing this is to just clean up this CS HTML. First of all, get rid of this create new. I don't really need it. I don't really need the email. That's okay. For the last name, so instead of using the attribute name, so type in last name over here, type in first name, and I don't really want the city. Sorry, I don't really want the address, but I do want the city. And I don't want any of these other columns. All right. So for the data item, same thing. I want to get rid of the email, but I want to retain the last name and the first name, get rid of the address, keep the city, and get rid of everything else. Okay, this last part is the razor links for editing, getting details, and delete. So get rid of them. So let's rebuild. So there you go. My output with only last name, first name, and city, right? Because of the 3 columns that I've created. All right. So I could pass a model that contains all the different columns and all the different attributes and data values into this into the view from the db.customers.toList and so on. What happens if I don't want to pass all these columns into the view? Well, this is the second part that I want to go on to. So if you look at my customer.cs is a class. Well, if I really just want to have a last name and first name, there's no point of passing all these things to the view. So I'm just going to create a customer subset class to make it a lot easier to work with the data rather than the whole object with all these attributes. So I'm going to just copy this last name and first name, just being lazy, and going to create a new class. All right, so let me kind of add a new item. This is going to be code and a class, and I'm going to call it customer subset.cs. Right. So this customer subset is going to have last name and first name only, which I extracted from the customer.cs. Okay, so what I want to do now is to go to my controller to modify my model so that instead of sending the whole object to the model, this is what I'm going to do. Right, so I'm going to do a dot select. This is link L-I-N-Q from Microsoft to allow access to models using a new syntax. All right, so select for each customer. I am going to create a new customer subset. All right, which is going to include just the last name equal to the customer object dot last name, and the first name is equal to customer dot first name. All right, so that should be it. Okay, so I've created a subset of the customer, and then it's only just getting dot last name and first name. Okay, finally, just there's just my dot toList is already there. Okay, so that's pretty much all I need to do now, except that there's some squiggly lines over here. Microsoft is telling us that this is not recognizable. No problem. Customer subset is in the models folder. So I just type in models dot. All right, that'll do it. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is to go back to my view, the show customer.cs HTML one more time. Instead of working with the customer model, I want to work with the models, specifically the subset. And since my subset of all the customers does not have the city, let's get rid of the city column from previous, and I'm done. So let's run this. And so there's just a new list of customers being driven by a subset of the customer class, which has only two columns, first name and last name. And so now my view has less data to show. All right, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll also provide the link or this project in a link below. Thank you.